All right. So this week for the weekly LinkedIn newsletter, Growth is Good, I am honored and privileged to interview the one and only Dr. LuLu. And Dr. LuLu, I saw on your profile just yesterday that you were on a Oprah call. So
Yeah.
you've spoken to Oprah Winfrey. That is amazing.
Oh, I have people who want to kiss me just because I spoke this like because this lips spoke to Oprah Zoomly. It was virtual. Still. Like people like just want to stop what they're doing and love on me.
Yes, I love that. I
I
love
got
that.
Oprah herself.
Oh,
Yes,
wow. You have
yes.
an Oprah cup?
Oprah's mug, and then she gave us her journal, and we got to be in the zone with Queen Oprah. And she actually had a one-on-one with me for about 7 minutes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And now I get to interview you, Dr. LuLu. So that's amazing. So you went from Oprah to me. I'll take it.
I
Um,
know. I had who had a podcast, and she was like, I get to say I interviewed you before Oprah. I was like, okay, all right. Okay, I'll take anyone. So yeah, thank you for that little trip down memory lane. It was in September
yes,
at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll never forget that. Yes,
absolutely. That is amazing. Well, you never know. Maybe one day I'll be the future Oprah and you'll say, oh, that interview I had with Tara, that was on fire.
yes, yes. I think it's a matter of, I mean, obviously I'm not better than anyone, but I do have three vision boards, and there's only one picture that is present in each vision board besides mine, and that's Oprah. And
Wow.
everybody tells me they remember where they were when I told them I'm gonna be on Oprah. I never it
Yeah.
was it was never a doubt. When I told my dad, I said, Daddy, guess what? I was interviewed by Oprah. He didn't ask me, what did she ask you? He said, you have always said you are gonna be on Oprah.
Wow.
That's what my father said. He didn't. To this moment, he hasn't asked me what did she say. But he said, I know since you were 12. He said, I said, well, Daddy, maybe more like 16. He said, either way, I know since you were a child, you've always said you were going to be interviewed by Oprah.
You
So
manifested it. It
yeah,
became a reality because you put it into vision, and that's the power of those vision boards. I made my first one in 2022. I had to actually look up on Pinterest how to make one because I wasn't sure.
uh,
And I laid it out and I had right in the center public speaking. And at the time, I had never even done a video and put it on social media. But I knew that was an avenue for me to really go to where I wanted to be in life. And now I'm doing podcasts and all of these things, speaking at conferences, doing live shows, doing interviews like this. So you just never know, but you have to put it down as a vision so that you can constantly be guided by that, don't you think?
that's it. That's all she wrote. That's really, truly
Yep.
all she said about that. You just have to believe. And now, as a coach, I'm learning that belief is an entity that occurs as a result of thoughts, almost fixed thoughts. Like when you tell a child you believe in God, the child, the first day they're like, it's just a set of words. But then you give them reasons why they should believe in God, reasons why God exists, reason why, I don't know, believing in God is the right thing, whatever. And this is not a Christian propaganda. I don't even practice Christianity anymore. But I'm just saying it's easy for people to grasp that I believe in God. But really, once upon a time, you didn't know what that meant. But then over the years, it became a constant fixed thought, and that became a belief. So for me, I just started saying, you know what? I could be on Oprah. You know what? I can be on Oprah. You know what? I will be on Oprah. And I didn't worry about how. I didn't even know when it was happening. I didn't even realize, wait, that's my vision board come true. I didn't realize it
Yeah, you don't.
until my friends were like, wait, I was in my kitchen the day you told me you're going to be on Oprah. Oh, we were having dinner at this particular steakhouse when you told me you're going to be on Oprah. Like literally people are like, you've always said you were going to be on Oprah. The ladies in my book, my brand new, well, not my brand new, I have two other books since then, but my Warrior Women Project, which is my immigrant women anthology. During the during the sessions that we had together leading up to preparing to write the book, I would always just casually say, and when Oprah interviews me, and when I'm on Oprah, and when I send the book, it was a natural thing. I just kept, and when I get to Oprah, and when Oprah interviews, they were like, you told us every single day that you're going to be on Oprah. That was 2 years ago. And
Wow.
now, so.
Amazing, amazing. But I want to introduce you a little bit because, so one, you're a former pediatrician, you're retired now. You've been on Oprah. You're also an author. You're a coach, but you're also an LGBTQ activist. And you're very passionate about helping children. So I do want to touch on that. But the theme of this newsletter is growth is good. So,
Yes.
it's all about growth. So that's why I wanted to hit on the fact that, you had this vision board, you manifested something into reality, but also that, you've reached a really awesome life goal of being on Oprah, being featured in books. You're a TEDx speaker as well. So you have been just about everywhere, and I would love to hear. Let's talk about your growth story a little bit, because I really want to inspire some people today, again, so that they know that they can achieve that next level growth of success in their lives as well. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. It's funny you said that. I didn't realize growth is good was the theme, but my Zoom link, the password is growth.
Ah, I love that.
It's growth. It used to be parenting, then it used to be support, but now it's growth, and that's it. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your journey of how, we talked about beliefs just a little bit ago and how a vision can turn into a belief. So how did you change your mind? How did you become this LGBTQ activist? How did you become a child advocate? What was your story there, and how did that progress?
So it's two-pronged. The first prong is I'm a pediatrician. So by the nature of the beast, by being a pediatrician, your primary job is you're a child advocate. I mean, that's it. Of course, it's all children, every child, even grown children, right? Even adult children, right? Yeah. As a pediatrician, by nature, you're a child advocate. That's all you do. You tell the parents that the child has a fever, so don't take them to the mall or whatever. I don't know. So, but that's what we do as pediatricians. Now, to answer the second part of the second prong, I'll tell you a story. When I was 16, I told my father that I liked girls. Mm-hmm. And he, with the knowledge that he had at that point, said, it's a phase, you grow out of it. Now, how many other parents believe that being LGBT is a phase or it's a choice or I don't know, it's something that they did wrong. Lots and lots of things there. So my dad told me that, and I did what most children would do. I believed my father. Coming back to belief, I believed my father because he's my dad. I'm a child. I don't know. I've had this feeling since I was about 12. I finally told him when I was about 16 because I was graduating from high school. And the story is that actually a friend of mine wrote on my high school yearbook. She said, and you are homosexual. She wrote that. And she wrote homie with a Y. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't even know there was a name for it. But I didn't want my dad to read it. So I told him in lieu of him reading it. But however I got to that point, I told him and he said it was a phase. And I said, okay, maybe it's a phase. So I went about my business. And one of the things I say in my second TEDx talk is I went about my business and did my very best to just kind of squash the feeling of attraction to women. And some people can pull that off. And it turns out that I am actually bisexual, which means I have attraction to male and female. Attraction. It doesn't mean I'm polyamorous or people don't know what they don't know. So they just, when they hear bisexual, they just think, oh, you're promiscuous. No, it's an attraction. Okay. However, because it's an attraction, you can act on it or you cannot act on it. It's an attraction. And so I did what my father expected of me, which was to grow up and marry a man and live happily ever after. Not, right? I did marry the man. I didn't live happily ever after. I did have 3 beautiful human beings from that. But the marriage went south. And when the marriage went south, I was 42. And I said, you know what? I think I was 39. And I said, you know what? I am old enough now to decide on whether to continue to disown this part of me that I did not create. I didn't make it happen. It just is. I am also attracted to women. I mean, it's just a fact. I went to an all-girls high school. That's when I discovered that I have intense attraction. I was a virgin till I was 22. So I didn't act on any of that because I was in school to study. That's what you do when you go to school. You're there to get the job done as a student. Sex or whatever can come later. So I did not. However, as I got older, I started realizing, wait, this attraction is not going anywhere. It's an attraction. And so I said, I'm going to lean into and explore it out of curiosity. Let me just go in there. And I tell parents to do that a lot. When your child tells you they're gay or bi or non-binary, lean in and lead with curiosity. Oh, really? Tell me more. How did you come about that? How long have you known that? As opposed to, what? Don't ever say that again. That's bad.
Yeah.
You're going to difference. And that shuts the kid down because think about it now. The kid is just sharing, like, Mom, look at this that I found.
Yeah.
And they never say that again and shut them down. And then they never share with you again. But it doesn't make it go away. And my 3rd TEDx talk is titled Parenting with Vulnerability. I realized that is what is going to take for parents to want to learn. For me to admit that I don't know what I don't know. Teach me however much you can, but I'm going to go learn it as well from maybe other adults, read books, whatever. If America will let you read books, right? But the point is, coming back to my story, so I grew up and I realized I have an attraction to women, but I'm married to my husband. So I'm going to stay married to my husband. That's what I was going to do until abuse came in and other things came in. I was like, okay, I'm out of this marriage. And then I got out of the marriage and I started saying, you know what? Let me even just see what's behind this door, literally. And then I just let myself just be grown and have fun with all the gifts that God has given me. The good book for those who are Christians. I always have to say, for those who are Christians. If you're not a Christian, don't listen to this part. But for those who are Christians, and mind you, I'm not a practicing Christian, but I do know because I used to teach Bible study when I was young, and a lot of people identify with that. The good book says that there was a parable of a man who was a businessman who was going on a business trip, and he gave $100 to one servant, $10 to one servant, and $1 to another. He gave them talents, and I call them dollars. And those talents, what he did when he got back from the journey was the people who invested their talents and yielded more, he rewarded. And the one man who had one talent and didn't invest it, he took the talent from him and gave it to someone else who could do something with it. So I say that to say, I said to myself, I'm going to explore all of the gifts that I've been given. I'm not going to feel ashamed. I'm not going to hide. I didn't create this. And for people who are not LGBT, here's what I have to say to you. If you're not Black, you cannot say anything about Black people. You don't know anything about the experience of being Black. That's an easier concept to grasp. Same thing with being LGBT. I don't care what ideas you have about the community. If you're not a member of the community, with all due respect, I don't want to hear what you have to say because I happen to be a member of the community. And even as a member of the community, I resisted when my child, you see the picture here?
Yeah.
I came from a dad who said it was a phase. And I know what I struggle with. Still, when my child told me that they're non-binary, I was like, what is that? What do you mean? I thought you were just gay. Like, what is this? And I pushed back.
Wow.
So yes, I want parents to know that even as a queer person myself, I resisted. Why? because I happen to live in a country that is intensely homophobic. So in my mind as a parent, which equals to protection, I was thinking I was doing what's right for my kid. I was like, no, please, whatever you do, don't do this. Don't do that. Don't paint your nails. Don't act like a girl. In my mind, I thought it was an act. Now, this is the same parent. It's called cognitive dissonance.
Wow.
The same thing that the slave owners felt. They knew it was bad to treat other people inhumanely. They suffered at night when they went to bed, but they'll never tell you that. Cognitive dissonance is a thing whereby your brain is telling you this is such and such and such, and you are acting such and such and such opposites. And so eventually I had to come to the realization that, listen, my child can thrive with or without me in the picture. I say that to say that, yes, suicide rates are 42 to 47% of suicide. Okay, let me rephrase that. Suicide rates are higher amongst LGBT kids, particularly transgender kids, particularly gender diverse or gender non-conforming. Thank you. Gender non-conformist, gender variant, or gender diverse. Those are 3 words. It's higher. It is higher, but it's not 100%. And so I dare to say to the parent who is like me and trying to dig their heels in, your child still has a chance of surviving you and thriving even and being who they are. The decision you need to make is, do I want to be in my child's life or do I not? I say that categorically because my ex-husband chose the latter. And today, my kid, who is a young adult, has completely divorced and uses the word ex-father.
Wow.
Yes, and guess who has cancer and is dying of cancer? Not my child. And now my ex-husband is unable to find his way back to the kid who he abandoned. Yeah. So I say that to say it's not a threat. These are facts. It's not even anecdotal. It's real that parents can choose to not support their kids. It's totally your prerogative. Yesterday, I came up with a talk I go live every night on TikTok. And I came up with this quote. And I said, change is always optional.
Yeah. Making
a decision is not. And if you decide not to make a decision, that is a decision. Does that make sense?
Yes.
However, your decision could be, I don't want to change. So when people say change is constant, I said, and I quote, change is optional. And it's like, you have to stop and take a deep breath and listen to it.
Yeah.
You don't have to change. But decision-making is a constant.
Yes. I love that.
Yes, girl. And I came up with it and they were like, oh my God. I said, write that down and put the quotes of LuLu. Because it hit me. I was talking to a parent yesterday and something similar. Oh, I was over my dead body. I said, you are welcome to decide over your dead body. But your child, while it will be a difficult journey for them, they will eventually grow up, grow out, find their own family of choice, and abandon you.
Wow. That is so powerful.
Not all the kids get there, but suicide rates among LGBT kids is not 100%. And I choose to focus on the fact that it is not 100%. It's a high rate. It's 50% of children whose families support them have a 50% less suicidal behavior. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm trying to phrase it. According to the Trevor Project, families who support their kids, there's a 50% decrease in suicide.
Wow, 50% by just supporting their child. 50%. So you could literally, that's how you save your child. It's by supporting.
It gets better.
Okay.
Maternal support.
Ah, wow.
Maternal support of young transgender women has a very high, almost 87% protection from suicide. So you
Wow.
see, cut out for me. I'm a mother. I have a young transgender woman. This study was published in 2020 in the new NIH, National Institute of Health.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look it up. Anything I tell you, I give you names. Go look it up. They did a study on diverse young transgender women. YTW is what they call them. And they found out that maternal support was critical, was pivotal in their survival. So for me, once I knew, and I didn't know all of that before I decided to support my child, I just knew I want to be in my child's life. And that drove
Wow.
me to seek help for myself, seek counsel for myself so I can be better present for the child, who is now a young adult, by the way, but still needs their parents.
Yeah.
Now, like I said before, I might still say, I'm never going to support you. It'll be hard for them. It's a trauma thing for them. But all LGBT people are not dead today by suicide. Enough of them still live to tell the story of how their parents were toxic.
Yeah.
I just didn't want that to be my child's story.
So how do you think, I mean, it sounds like through this experience, you found your purpose. And
Yes.
I'm a big believer in that. And by the way, let me know how I can continue to support your purpose. And I can tell when people are walking in their purpose and when they're aligned with what their mission is on this planet. You radiate that. So congratulations to you
Thank
in aligning with your purpose and being driven by it.
Thank you.
But this found your purpose for you. It guided you to what your path is. Let's talk about that. Talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. I tell people all the time that once upon a time I used to cry to sleep every night, asking God, why did you give me, why did you make him? Because my eldest was assigned male at birth. Okay. So I used to cry to God. I said, why did you make him gay? And my story is God would laugh and giggle and tell the other angels, should we tell her? And they're like, no, not yet. And they're like, okay. And I was crying and crying. And then God was like, should we tell her? And they were like, okay, tell her. I said, and then God was like, guess what? I didn't make him gay. I made her transgender. So if you thought gay was a big thing, I got news for you. And then God said, if not you, then who?
Yeah.
You're a self-proclaimed child advocate. You're a pediatrician. You are a speaker. You're all of this. So who should I send then? And I was like, oh, okay, touche.
Wow.
God, I said, God, okay, just one thing. And they were like, okay, what? And I was like, will you at least, when I said, will you at least, God finishes the sentence by saying, send you people that will help you do the work? Oh, absolutely. I'm sending you and you and you. And this morning, God sent you to help me do the work. I believe that with all of every cell in my body, that God gives you the work to do and gives you the people you need to get the job. And here we are this morning. With all the drama, however drama we got to get here this morning, we are here this morning.
We are.
And I need you and your energy to get me to where I need to go. And for that, I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I mean, we're on the same ride together. We all are, right? And I'm just a big believer in the power of a collective. So I don't see that there's any separation between you, I, or anybody else.
Amen.
And when you start to look at people as just a different representation of a singular element, you see that there is no difference.
There's
There is
none.
none.
We got some bad news. in the sense that I live in Texas. I don't know if you know that or not.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our representatives there is Ted Cruz. And last night the news broke, and the way it was broken to me, people always send me stuff because of the work that I do. And the tweet said, there is a child who lives in Texas. That child came out as bisexual last year. Last night, that child attempted suicide. The child is Ted Cruz's daughter.
Yeah.
So when that hits the news, I got like 6 people send me, like, have you seen this? Are you following it? I was like, wait. No, I'm not, but thank you, right? The point I'm trying to make is I still have love for Ted Cruz. He suddenly became my client because he is a parent of an LGBTQ child and he's struggling with accepting this child. This is the work that I do. Ted Cruz is now my client.
That's amazing.
Whether he's a paying client or not, he is my client. He needs my message. So because I love my clients with a fever of, I don't know what, feverishly, all of a sudden I made a shift yesterday and started to love Ted Cruz, the parent. Not Ted Cruz, the whatever political.
Politician. Yeah.
Because as a parent, Ted Cruz is suffering right now.
Yep.
Anybody child attempts to take their own life is suffering.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to negate the child's 10x suffering or 100x suffering, but I decided to coach parents and not the kids because I realized that while you as a parent are the most important person in your life, you are the most influential person in your child's life.
Yes. Yes. So powerful. Wow. Well, that gave me goosebumps. I certainly, it changed my perspective a lot. I loved your story. And honestly, I hope anybody listening to this, it's okay to be challenged, to think of something in a different light. It's a good thing. That's how we learn how to grow as individuals, right? You can only grow through being challenged, through identifying things that are uncomfortable for you. And, if it's uncomfortable, you might want to learn more about it because honestly, that could lead to your purpose. And it could
And that
lead to you discovering something about yourself that you may not have known or buried. And it's important, it's important for us to do those things because honestly, life is short and we can't go on living without being aligned with our purpose.
I love it.
So I love it too. Thank you so much. We
I was
are.
Yeah, I was going to tell you one thing, and
Mhm.
while the thought occurred to me, and I may or may not have forgotten it with my ADHD brain, but I say to parents, try it on. Like you went to a store, a clothing store, okay? Just try it on. Just
Yeah.
try this thought on for
Yeah.
fit. It might even fit.
Yep.
What if it turns out better
Yep.
than you? For that, I'll take the chance. If
Yes.
it makes sense.
I love that. Try it on. It's
Try-
okay. Ask exploratory questions and get out of
Yeah,
your comfort zone.
curiosity. And so I don't know if we have enough time for me to mention that I do have a retreat coming up for parents who I know are overwhelmed. Is a thing. It's in March of 2023. It's a retreat, it's a self-love retreat, which is why I created the self-love journal.
Oh, amazing.
Yes, ma'am. I realized that a lot of the problem is the parent has a hard time accepting that this is who they are now. This is their new identity as parent of a queer child. It's a tough one, but it's a doable one. And that is rooted under not loving that part of you.
Yeah.
And so how about we try some self-love on our way to acceptance and then, of course, affirming your child. So I would like the people to know that the retreat is there, and if they like more information, I'll give it to you so we can put the word out there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We will certainly share that in the newsletter and with the audience. But if anybody has a similar situation at home, this is who you need to reach out to, Dr. Lulu. She is an activist. She is amazing. There's no need to look any further. She's been interviewed by Oprah Winfrey and, of course, me now. Maybe one day I'll be there.
You
But
and
thank you.
you can tell her about today.
Yes. Thank you so much for the interview, Dr. Lulu. It was a pleasure, and we will include all of your information in the context, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out to me on social media. I'm very, very approachable. Dr. Lulu Talk Radio is most of my social media, and my YouTube channel has lots of educational videos. Just have at it.
Reach out.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you.